At what level? Do you need to have a certain number of episodes? Do you need to have a certain number of followers, certain reach every month? When do sponsors start paying?
So look, I would say find your niche and do something in your niche, because if you want to be a podcast for everyone, for everything, then it will be super difficult to find sponsors and monetize in the longer term. So when you have a niche and when you have a specific audience, it becomes easier to find a sponsor, because you say, I'm a marketing podcast, or I'm a startup podcast, and then people that want to align with you, people that like you as a person, your values, what you do, the content that you put out, it makes it easier for them to align with you. So I think the first step towards monetizing is, finding your niche and sticking to your niche and start building in that niche, because then that's people, sponsors who are interested in that niche will come to you. Secondly, of course, you have to think about growth, right? So are your downloads growing or not growing, or is it flat, or so on, which means you need to make adjustments on your content, on the types of guests. So clearly, if your growth is flat, then something is not clicking. And so, I don't know if there is a specific number, right? Because podcast sponsorship is not only about numbers. Unless like you're a mass show and you're super successful and you have millions of downloads, then yes. But when you are an expert in a niche, people will sponsor because they want to, align with that niche, and they want to align with you. So I don't know, maybe it could be 5,000 downloads, it could be 10,000 downloads, or 20,000 downloads. But it's more of a negotiation at this point in time, and figuring out who are the brands that want to associate themselves with you. So the people that sponsor my podcast are people that I approach and people that I choose and I think would be a great fit for my podcast. And there's quite a few now in the pipeline.
You mean businesses?
Businesses.
Yeah, okay, got it. Okay, got
yeah.
it. Yeah.
And there's quite a few that I'm working on actively at the moment, which they haven't signed yet. But I believe that there's a very strong fit between what they do as a company and my podcast. So podcasts here in this part of the world, it's not. Again, it's relatively new. You have like amazingly successful shows in Saudi Arabia and Arabic. So if you're in that, I think you're great, because you'll have brands that are willing to sponsor you, especially if you're catering for like the Arab Arabic speaking basically, or somebody who wants to consume content in Arabic. But for people like me that are doing English content, it's you need to get to a point where there's a fit and there's growth, and the brand can see that, and then they can sponsor your show.